We start off with this guy, Trent, driving his girlfriend, Pam, her teenage son Duncan, and his daughter Steph to his beach house for a little summer vacation. Duncan is an introverted teenage kid, but Trent is really trying to get through to him, as the father that stepped up. But Trent is really mean. The girls are sleeping, so Trent starts telling Duncan that he has to start putting himself out there, and there'll be plenty of opportunities for him to do that at the beach house. Trent asks him to rate himself on a scale of 1 to 10. Duncan says he's a 6, but Trent tells the poor boy that he's a 3. Come on, why be so mean to a kid? Duncan just turns around and puts his earphones back on. On the way, Duncan locks eyes with a cool dude in a convertible behind them. He smiles at Duncan, and Duncan smiles back. They now arrive at the beach house, and they're welcomed by a neighbor, Betty. She's a very vivacious character, and she immediately starts familiarizing herself with Trent's girlfriend and her kids. Shortly after, Betty's daughter, Susanna, comes out, and you can see that Duncan already has a crush. Anyway, they all go into the house, and Betty just starts unloading about her drama-filled life unprovoked. While Trent and Pam are trying to unpack, Steph is already ready for the beach. Trent asks her to go with Duncan, but of course she's not a fan of that idea. But Trent insists. My man needs some time alone with his girlfriend. At the beach, Steph is chilling and gossiping with her friends, including Susanna, while Duncan is just sitting on his own playing with sand. Susanna doesn't seem like the rest of the girls though. She's reading a book and doesn't seem very interested in the gossip. When the girls go off to swim, Susanna doesn't really want to join them, but she's bullied to join by Steph. Left alone, Duncan just starts heading home, and he's met by Betty and her son Peter, whom she introduces to Duncan. Betty is bullying her own son about his eyes. Can you believe that? Anyway, Peter is something of a nerd, and Duncan doesn't seem very willing to chill with him, so he leaves them. He goes home and lays down on top of Trent's car to listen to some music. He's singing out loud when Susanna comes and watches him sing for a bit. When he opens his eyes and notices her there, he immediately gets down from the car and she leaves. He goes into the house, where a little party seems to be going on. Trent's friends Joan and Kip, who are married to each other by the way, have joined them, and Joan goes to drag Duncan to dance with her. Pam joins them shortly, and while all 3 of them are dancing, Steph comes down and tells them she's going out again. She won't be joining them for dinner. Trent now stops the music and all of them gather around the table. He asks Duncan if he went on top of his car, and the boy lies through his teeth. Later, they're sharing jokes over dinner, but Duncan is not even cracking a smile. Finally, his mom puts him out of his misery and lets him leave the table. He goes straight outside at the same time Susanna was coming out of her own house. So they get talking from their porches. They're bonding over how much they hate it here, but it's a short conversation. The following morning, Duncan comes out to see Steph just leaving. On the table is a note and some money his mom left for him. He takes the money, manages to escape Peter and Betty, and goes to the garage to get a bike on which he rides around town. He arrives at a pizzeria where he meets this dude, Owen, playing Pac-Man. Owen hands over the game to Duncan and leaves. The game ends rather quickly, and Duncan heads back home where the family is getting ready to leave the house. He quickly gets ready and joins them as they go off to the boat, where Trent makes only him wear the life jacket, even though he can swim. He's not happy about that at all. In the boat, Pam is talking about how she met Trent, while Duncan is just on his own as usual. Pam now goes to meet Duncan, and he tells her he doesn't really like Trent. He'd have preferred to be spending summer with Dad. Later that night, he sees the rest of the guys out having fun, while he's left inside and has to clean after them. The following morning, Duncan wakes up and goes downstairs. The guys are eating, but he's not interested in breakfast. He just goes to take his bike and hits the town with an angry look on his face. He goes to the local water park called Water Whiz. He just goes there and sits alone. Then Owen calls out and says hi to him. He heads home shortly after, and Susanna, outside her house, says hi to him and they get talking. I feel like she's trying to flirt with him, but Duncan isn't seeing it, so he just rides off to the house. When he gets home, he sees Joan entering the house, so he decides against going in now. He goes out and waits until the lights go out in the house before heading back in. I guess he was trying to avoid conversation, but Trent is still awake, so he's going to get that conversation by force. He tells Duncan that if they're going to make this work, there has to be mutual trust and respect. Duncan reluctantly agrees, just so he can go get some sleep. The following day, Duncan is back at Water Whiz, and Owen approaches him and goes on to show him around. He introduces him to the staff. First, Lewis, who gives Duncan a pair of shorts, then Caitlin, who Owen is dating, then finally Roddy, who's a little bit of a perv. Duncan and Owen now go down the water slide, and Duncan loses his shorts in the pool. Why do the worst things happen to my little homie? Anyway, after a fun day out, Duncan starts preparing to go home, but Owen comes and offers to take him home. Oh, Owen is the cool dude in the convertible from earlier. How am I just noticing? During the ride, they get talking, and they get to know each other a little. After he drops him off, Owen offers him a job at the park, and Duncan is excited to take it. He gets to the house, and his mom tells him to bring his new friend over sometime. She then scolds him about staying out all day, and all night, and he says he can say the same about her too. She's a little stunned, but she tells him she wants him to make an appearance at Betty's 4th of July cookout. Duncan comes out later, and he has a little moment with Susanna. Then he goes to his mom, who asks him to come sit with her and eat. He goes to fix himself a plate, and Susanna comes to meet him and starts a conversation. While they're there, he sees his mom leave with Trent, and he just loses his appetite. Susanna tells him to come with her to go hunt ghost crabs, and he agrees. They're now taking a stroll by the beach, and they start getting to know each other. He doesn't like how much his mom is changing, staying out late, drinking, smoking pot, all of that. When they get back home, the pair go their separate ways. And you won't believe what Duncan sees. Trent and Joan making out. Wow, right? Trent later stops and walks past Duncan, but doesn't even notice him. Advantages of being the invisible kid, right? Trent and Joan rejoin the group, and an unsuspecting Pam is just there laughing. The following morning, Duncan goes to resume at his new job, and literally just 5 minutes after he resumes, Owen tells him to go break up a group of young teenagers dancing somewhere at the park. Owen assures him they'll listen to him as he has the staff shirt on now. But that turns out to not be the truth. They tell him if he's going to stop the show, he has to show them his moves first. So he goes ahead to burst some moves. That's if you can call these things he's doing with his body moves. But these kids are actually cool. They teach him some moves, and then let him take the cardboard he came for. Owen and the crew aren't even mad about it at all. And Duncan, he's feeling better about himself now. He's really enjoying the job. I mean, every bit of it. This job has really given his confidence a huge boost. While all that is happening, these 3 mischievous kids get stuck in the water slide. So Owen sends a bigger kid down the slide to push the boys off. Not exactly the best idea, but it worked, and the boys loved it. But Caitlin isn't loving it. She's yelling at Owen now and telling him that they could get shut down because of that. But more importantly, she tells Owen that she doesn't like who she is around him, and boy did that hurt. Owen's spirit is crushed. Back home, Pam proposes to Trent that they all do something together, but Trent is suggesting they see a movie with Kip and Joan. Pam says she doesn't feel like hanging out with Kip and Joan. She just wants to do stuff with her family. So they play Candyland. This game, which was supposed to be fun for all parties, ends up annoying both Duncan and Pam, but especially Pam. She leaves and goes to set the dinner table, but she bursts into tears and just goes upstairs. The following day, Duncan sets off to work on his bike, and Susanna follows him. Apparently, it's Duncan's day off, and he's not supposed to be here, but he's here anyway, and he's happy to see Owen and Caitlin flirt with each other a little. First time I've seen this guy smile since I started watching this movie. Now, Susanna walks up to him. She tells him she followed him earlier and then went back to get her swimming stuff. Owen and Roddy love what they're seeing, so they call Duncan over and tease him a little about the hot and older girl he's talking to. He now returns to Susanna and starts showing her around the park. This is going really well. I mean, they look like they're having a great time, don't they? They literally spent the whole day together, and I think my man Duncan enjoyed it so much that he forgot to bring his bike back with him. They get home, and Steph is mad at Susanna. She says Susanna ditched her, but what's crazy is that they didn't even have plans in the first place. Pam comes out and tells the kids that dinner is almost ready, so Duncan and Steph go in while Susanna goes home. Trent is not home, and dinner is a little awkward. Pam asks Steph about her boyfriend, and she says they broke up, and it seems like the heartbreak was great for character development because why on earth is Steph helping with the dishes? This is not the Steph I know. Even Pam is shocked. Later that night, Duncan is woken up by sounds of conversation coming from downstairs, so he goes down to see Trent explaining himself to Pam. He's saying he came back late because he was out with Kip all day. Duncan is watching that, and you can tell he's not happy seeing his mom being lied to. The next morning, he gives Trent a little hell, but he doesn't say anything yet. Later that night, there's another party happening, and Joan coming to their table to act chummy is really pissing Duncan off. She even drags Trent off for a dance, and you can tell that Pam is now suspecting something. She also notices a little flirting between Kip and Betty, so she just gets up from the table and begins to walk away. Duncan immediately stands up and follows her and confronts her. In front of everybody, he challenges his mom to do something about the obvious affair and not just walk away. Trent now steps in and tries to gaslight the boy, but Duncan pushes him away. A fight nearly breaks out, but Kip and Pam immediately step in. Duncan says he'd rather be with his dad right now, and Trent tells the boy that his father doesn't want him. Low blow, man. Low blow. Duncan asks his mom if it's true, and she doesn't really say anything, so he just walks off. Susanna follows him and sits beside him. She tries to comfort him with random stories, but Duncan just stays quiet. He then decides to try something he obviously learned from the movies and moves in for a kiss. But she's not really in that mood, so he just apologizes and leaves. He gets home to see Trent apologizing to his mom, and he's not ready to handle all of this tonight, so he goes off to Waterwiz. Peter blackmails him into taking him with him. At Waterwiz, he tries to get in by climbing over the fence, but Roddy comes and shows him that the gate is actually open. A party is going on here. It's a farewell for Lewis. For all his BS, Owen is actually a cool and responsible fella. He stops Peter from drinking beer and makes him feel better about his eyes, which his mother bullies him for. He also tells Duncan that he'll only allow him to hang out here for a bit. Then he'd have to force him to go home. Now we get to listen to Lewis give his farewell speech. Okay, not actually, because he's interrupted by Duncan and Roddy, who come in shooting water from water guns. They say it's part of the tradition here. Everybody now joins in and it's a full-on water fight. They now get to dancing, and this actually looks like a lot of fun. Man, I need to have fun like this again. Duncan now watches Caitlin and Owen properly make up, and you can see his belief in love slowly getting restored. Anyway, the party was so lit that Owen forgot to send Duncan home, so they're all still here at sunrise. Now he comes to send Duncan home, and the boy says he wishes he could stay here forever. This leads to a deep conversation. Duncan says that this is the only place where he's truly happy. Owen asks him what's going on, and boom, Duncan just opens the floodgates. He starts pouring out his heart. He tells Owen he hates his mom's boyfriend. He can't forget that that man really called him a 3 to his face. Owen tells him he can relate. His dad was like that. So he gives Duncan some words of encouragement, and then Duncan and Peter head home. Immediately they arrive outside. Betty comes out and starts yelling at Peter, and what would Peter reply? Not now, woman. Oh my goodness. Is this kid 13 or 39? Duncan now goes to face his own troubles. Trent is proposing that they forget about last night and start over, but I don't think Duncan loves that idea. He goes inside and sees his mom packing. Apparently they're leaving right now, and of course he doesn't want that. He's nearly crying now, and it's worse because he's finding out that his mom didn't break up with Trent, so they're all going back together. Pam is crying and trying to explain things, but Duncan doesn't even want to hear it. He goes off to say goodbye to Suzanne before entering the car, but as he turns back to leave, she turns him back around and gives him a quick kiss. My boy is more than elated. He really cannot believe how his summer has gone so far. He gets in the car and they leave. He has a smile on his face. When they drive past Water Whiz, you can see the look of regret on his face. So when they stop at the gas station, he just gets out of the car and runs to the park to say goodbye to Owen and the guys. His mom follows him, and as she's looking around the park, she finds out for the first time that her son worked here and was even Employee of the Month. He's been working here for up to a month? Didn't seem like it. Anyway, at this point, Trent and Steph have joined them at Water Whiz. For his farewell, Duncan wants to attempt to pass someone on the water slide. Nobody has ever done it before, so everybody gathers to watch. He tells Owen to go first, and he goes behind him, and he actually does it. He comes out before Owen and becomes the first person to ever pass someone in the water slide. After they get out of the water, Duncan finally introduces Owen to his mom. Owen also meets Trent and sort of protects Duncan when he reaches out to grab him. So, Trent and Steph leave, and Duncan asks his mom to give him a minute alone with the guys. Owen then says goodbye to Caitlin, Roddy, and Lewis. Then he gives Owen a hug, tells him thank you for everything, and leaves. No, I'm not crying. Can't you see there's just so much water everywhere? Anyway, the ride back home is really awkward. You can see that Pam is really struggling sitting in the shotgun seat, but she finally summons the courage to join her son in the back seat. Duncan loves that little gesture. It puts a smile on his face, and that's where this one ends. Okay, now that the movie is over, you can go blow your nose. I know you've been crying too.